I've been looking at all of the titles of the different workshops, and I found yours the most poetic of all of the titles, with the 6 sketches for ISTEK. And I just wanted to ask you about the thinking that went into that title, and then, you know, how the workshop emerged
from there,
afterwards or before
or during.
Or during.
Okay, well, the idea came from looking around the ISTEK website, and one of the things I noticed when after I'd been invited by Burtu to come and talk, and I was looking at the website, one of the things I noticed was the bright colours at the top of the homepage and the pot of brushes, which caught my eye because I like my brushes and I like my painting. And also in almost the opening paragraph it said, in introducing the theme of the conference, it said we're going to invite teachers to stand like an artist in front of the canvas before choosing the first bold stroke of colour. And I liked it. I thought it was fresh, and there was, as you suggest, something poetic about it, which you don't always find at conferences.
And you don't always find people taking seriously the actual questions asked, you know, about what the conference theme is, or building on what comes out of a conference website. You know?
Yeah, well, there was a bit of a debate on that on Twitter, and it related actually to the situation in which regular speakers find themselves being filmed. So if somebody's got a number of talks which they give regularly, and they're speaking often, so they don't have very much preparation time in between talks, the question was whether it's fair, in a sense, to be filming speakers, streaming their talks, and then they find that, I guess, their talk is familiar, perhaps, to the next audience. So I was quite interested in that debate. And obviously, in principle, the idea of tailoring a talk to a conference is very dogma. It's very much in keeping with that idea. And I did have enough time to think about it. So I thought I'd take that opportunity. So I did it quite deliberately. And I thought it was a nice fit with dogma. And I think it probably, I mean, I think it's a nice thing to do. Let's leave it there.
And the one thing, just one of the paintings I'd like to ask you about, which was the one about the ploughman and the furrow, and noticing, you know, whether you could talk about that and how you stumbled on that painting and how you combined it with the idea of noticing.
Well, I was starting to shape the talk around the ideas of looking, you know, the process of attention and visual attention that we pay as teachers to the people in our class, and also, you know, linking that obviously with the nature of the attention that a painter or somebody drawing gives their subject. And I think I just must have been reminded of this wonderful poem by W.H. Auden, which I, you know, was very familiar with as a youth. Musée des Beaux-Arts, and I went back to it, and I felt that it really was about all the things that I was trying to talk about. And it's a conversational poem. It isn't, I don't think, a very difficult poem in terms of language. And obviously, you know, I was conscious of not delivering something that was suddenly a complex text in the middle of a talk. To, you know, more or less experienced teachers and so on. So I just thought, yeah, why not? And I felt that the kind of reflective flavour of the talk could take a poem, if you like, and then it turned into this interlude in the middle of the talk. And of course, it's such a beautiful painting, and it's such a. But the interesting thing is actually reading about it. There are other layers to it. Right. So the metaphor, I mean, the Flemish proverb that you picked up on, that actually there's this kind of very pragmatic idea of the ploughman just ploughs on. And then Auden is obviously very exercised by the fact that nobody's looking. You know, the ship sails on and the ploughman is not interested. But apparently in the original story in Ovid, the people do notice. So it's just fascinating how these things change. So the original story in Ovid, everybody notices. In the Bruegel painting, the shepherd and the ploughman don't notice, and that's what Auden notices, and so it becomes a poem about not noticing, where actually in the original Ovid, which I'm not familiar with, that they did notice. So it's fascinating how things change.
No, it's fabulous. Yeah.